Hello, friends. This is episode 74 of the Middle-Aged Outlaws podcast. Today we're talking TNA Turning Point, and it's that rematch between Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe.
What the hell happened to wrestling?
Outlaws.
I don't go no street, no smacking with a beat goes rocking with a sound I'm checking into a hotel. I'll stroll no more outlaws in town. They ram their clan.
Right, Adam. Right off the bat. Okay, first of all, how are you doing? You all right?
Yeah, good. You?
Okay, I'm all right, thanks. A little bit emotional. As you know, I saw Iron Claw today, and at any time, if I think of Kevin or Zac Efron as Kevin Von Erich just sitting crying in a field of grass, I might just turn into a blubbering mess. So
Oofed.
I apologise if that happens.
Okay.
Also, MJF is in it in a total blink and you'll miss him for 2 seconds.
Right. Okay.
Which was entertaining. But right off the bat, I wanted to get a little deep with you.
Okay.
Are you interested in getting a little deep?
Well, let's see where this goes.
Let's see how deep the waters are. Can I ask you some questions?
Yeah.
Okay, I've got 2 questions for you, so I'll ask you them both and you can tackle them how you want, okay? My first question is, what does wrestling mean to you? Take that as deep as you want. My second question is, how often do you watch wrestling?
Okay. I would say I watch wrestling
Once every 2 weeks.
for this podcast. I don't watch any TV. I watched the Royal Rumble. I expect I will watch WrestleMania. So big shows I can sometimes get drawn into. Yeah. I don't watch any like TV. I sometimes watch clips. Like I think I've almost become a young person that'll get sent something as a link and they'll click on that and watch it rather than watch a whole show just if something's deemed a bit entertaining. What it means, like, I suppose for me, it's just like another form of entertainment. So, I think when I was a kid, it felt like it meant a lot. Like, I cared about who was champion, and I wanted my guys to win. And I got really drawn into stories and things like that. But as certainly these last, let's say, 10 years, it's kind of just become another thing I sometimes watch.
Okay. So, on your answer to the second question, is it not something that you'll, if you have free time, you might stick an old episode of something on, or you might go back and watch an old whatever?
I have done. Like, probably a couple of weeks ago, it was one of them where it was a Saturday night on my own, and I'm trying to decide what to watch. And I think I watched something like a Royal Rumble match from 2005 or something like that because, I just couldn't think of what else to watch. But I'm probably these days or the last few years been maybe more drawn to like the documentary style things rather than the actual events themselves.
And you do a lot of podcast listening as well, like sort of wrestling related podcast listening, don't you?
Yeah. I don't want to be this guy, do I? I like the insider stuff a lot of the time, but maybe only in certain ways. Like, I like to hear, how did they come to this decision to go with this on that guy? Or, as opposed to maybe, bickering and infighting stories, they can turn me off a wee bit. I'm like, okay, great. Everyone didn't get along, whatever. But yeah, I like hearing. Like, I used to really enjoy before he went back to work for WWE, the Bruce Pritchard podcast, when he was giving you the story behind the scenes about the Radicals jumping to WWE, that kind of thing. I enjoyed that.
Nice. Okay. I just been thinking about it a lot recently, and like I I tend to watch quite a lot of wrestling, but not like current or anything like that. I don't really mean like that. I mean like, if, same as what you talked about there about watching a random Rumble or just pop something on for entertainment. I watch my kids sometimes, but really I would be being dishonest if I said I only watch wrestling with my kids, because I watch it a lot myself. I feel like wrestling's a bit of a comfort blanket for me sometimes, and it sort of just like takes you away. I don't know if that's like a sort of childhood, like that's where
makes sense.
the love for wrestling comes from. Anyway, then with all this Vince stuff that's happened, I've found myself having a sort of, like a sort of wrestling existential crisis where I have no interest in watching anything WWE related anymore. And I can't quite work out my head. Well, obviously I understand why that is, but then like we've lived through stuff like Owen Hart and Chris Benoit, and other things, Bret Hart getting screwed and things like that, and it's never ever turned me off. And I love a Chris Benoit match, and we've spoke about them on here.
Yeah.
And I've never really thought about it, and just sort of thought, that's the wrestler versus the horrendous things that they've done. This stuff with Vince, I feel different about and strongly about. Like I say, it's completely turned me off, and I've found where in the past, where I would turn to watch something, I've not had something to watch.
Okay.
So I've started trying to watch like independent stuff, British independent stuff, US independent stuff, whatever. And it's kind of, I've been sort of forcing myself to watch it and enjoy it, whereas, don't get me wrong, there is good things, but that sort of story-driven narrative isn't there as much as watching like a week-to-week or something where you just sort of know what's going on. And I've sort of found myself at a bit of a like, I don't know, I just feel a bit sad. When people, when the Turtles films were made and they were aliens and people like, you've ruined my childhood, Michael Bay. I didn't feel like that, but to an extent, I just kind of feel like this is fucking rubbish. Like, I just feel like I've had something that I really appreciate taken away.
Be interesting, like, when it's probably, I don't know what the right way of saying this is, when there's a confirmation, decision, legal ruling on everything that has gone on or alleged to have gone on. Be interesting to see if that lingers with you. Like, if the person responsible, well, Vince and anyone else deemed responsible for pretty horrific acts, gets what would be seen as any kind of comeuppance or anything like that, would it still linger? And I imagine it probably would. It's a difficult one. It's like I don't think it's hit me in that way, but I think you go through loads of things where you're like, can I still appreciate this person's music? Can I still watch this actor's films? All that kind of thing with particular stuff that's gone on in the last 10 years or so. And I wonder if it's still very current, but the other side of it is there's this feeling that it's tip of the iceberg. There's
Absolutely.
a lot.
Yeah.
There's just that feeling.
And it's funny because you go, like, I've been watching Progress Wrestling, and then through watching stuff like that and enjoying stuff like that, and then reading things, and there was the speaking out movement, and it's like half their roster they ended up cutting ties with because they were also involved in like nefarious behaviour and just horrible behaviour, and it's just like, so where do you cross the line? Because go back and watch anything for the 80s and half, like we've watched Beyond the Mat and the stuff about Grizzly Smith, and it's just like, if you're going to have these sort of moral obligation, have these opinions about watching stuff, then where do you stop?
Yeah, it's maybe this one particularly difficult because it feels like this was a world he created for all of us as we were growing up, and
He's just abused it.
Yeah. And with it all being his creation, effectively, that's how it feels.
Yeah.
That it's maybe, almost blanketing the entire business almost. Yeah, it's an interesting one. I haven't thought to myself, like, I think when I mentioned to you that I'd watched Rumble and I was probably going to watch WrestleMania, I think even at that point you were a bit like, I'm not sure if I will be watching WrestleMania. It's still a wee bit away, but I don't think it had hit me quite the same way. Don't get me wrong, absolutely horrific, and I would want everyone involved to pay a hefty price. But there's clearly going to be victims that there is no justice for.
Yeah, well, Ashley Massaro being one of those, and all that's come out.
Yeah,
since it's so murky, and I see clips like Triple H. They did some sort of press conference with The Rock and all that, and I see that, and I just think Triple H definitely would have known. I'm not saying he knows the murky details of every little thing, but he knows some stuff.
Almost like family. It feels, because The Rock came back and all that, it feels like there's a desperate attempt to get everyone to look over here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it feels quite blatant. But yeah, it's tough.
It's like you're saying, it's tough, and I'm sitting here whining like a 41-year-old man. I can't watch my wrestling anymore. When there's people, probably tens, hundreds of people had their lives changed by whatever's happened. I'm not sitting here saying feel sorry for me. But it's just reflections on how it like. I want to watch Bret Hart matches when I'm tired and didn't want to do anything else. But it just doesn't feel the same. Anyway, thank you for taking that swim in the deep end with me. I appreciate it.
That's all right. I was thinking, we'll probably have time because there's some bits of the show we're going to talk about that I have no notes about.
Yeah, well, I skipped some of it, so yeah, go. Indeed. I was thinking about this, and we'll get into it, but I was thinking about this, and it's, how enthusiastic we were about TNA when we sort of signed off 2 weeks ago, and it's kind of like meeting a new girlfriend, and, everything's going amazing, and then suddenly she starts showing our actual character. That is what TNA has done to us. They don't say thank you to waiting staff or something like that.
I do. I feel like, 2 weeks ago, I was in a moment where I was thinking, how did this company not take off massively? And I think I now see where it went wrong.
I think we had that actual conversation. How did this not blow up? Well, yeah, indeed. Brian Armstrong. Is that his name, Brian Armstrong? Yeah. Had creative control, probably. Anyway, should we talk about 28 Weeks Later, which is the follow-on from 28 Days Later that we watched last time and both thoroughly enjoyed. And this is a sequel. No return for Danny
Boyle.
Danny Boyle. No return for any of the cast, but this time we've got Juan Carlos Fresnadillo directing. We've got Robert Carlyle, quite an interesting cast actually. Robert Carlyle, Rose Byrne, Jeremy Renner, Idris Elba. We had Imogen Poots. Sort of a lot of people which seemed like they were on the come up at that time.
Yeah, I was thinking, is it the first time? Certainly some of them, not Robert Carlyle, but a few of them, maybe the first time I think I saw them in a major film.
So this is set, here's a little synopsis. It's set after the events of the first film. It depicts the efforts of NATO military forces trying to salvage a safe zone in London, the consequence of two young siblings breaking the protocol, and the resulting reintroduction of the rage virus to the safe zone. How'd you enjoy 28 Weeks Later?
Yeah, I enjoyed it. It's talked before about it being really different from 28 Days. Like 28 Days felt like, a lot of it was quite this low-key story about these survivors sort of grouping together and just trying to figure out their way to navigate through life. Here, there's obviously it. I said to you before, it feels a bit more like an action movie. Like there is a lot going on in this film from a purely visual sense. I like the story. I think the story had an interesting way of getting you to the point where the virus is outbreaking again, basically with a sort of microscope on one family who and a pretty despicable, cowardly dad, Robert Carlyle in this instance, basically leaving the mum and others for dead just to escape. And then I can't think if do we even know that they're married at that point. We maybe do. They're maybe identified as being together, but then the after the safe zone being identified, him being reunited with his kids, and then also the message of the kids go to the family home. Is that what happens?
Yeah, they kind of sneak out to try and find mum, or to because he said we're going to have to leave home. You realise, and they went home to get all their cool stuff.
So them going back and finding what turns out to be the mother, and something you sent me about Robert Carlyle's the look when he's told him we've found your wife as well.
Shocked Pikachu face.
Yeah, and then the way things transpire from there with the sort of wrinkle that people can be carriers of this virus without showing the symptoms themselves, and there's something bloody terrifying about Robert Carlyle when he turns. He's so violent and aggressive. And
it's a callback to the first film, the thumbs in the eyes. But
yes,
we don't need to see. We don't need to go to it.
Yeah,
because Cillian Murphy's character does it just when he didn't have the rage virus. He was just attacking all those the military officers. But horrible. And not big on that.
Yeah, I like the story. I like you've got is it Jeremy Renner? Is he one of the one of the military officers who doesn't seem keen on this command to kill everyone? Don't just look for the infected, kill everyone. And him sort of breaking away and trying to help some clearly not infected people escape. And then you have I can't remember what her job was actually. Is it the Rose Byrne character?
Yeah, she's like some sort of medical. Yeah, I think she's a scientist, but she said she was like a medical officer of some description.
So she's trying to help these kids to safety, and then there's some really good sequences. Like I talked about it as being like an action film before. There were some moments that I was like, oh, that looked pretty cool. Like
the helicopter taking out all.
The helicopter that is supposedly, coming to help Jeremy Renner, and then they agree at a meeting point. But when he is flying it, and there's all this field full of zombies, and he is taking them out with the propeller. It looks amazing. And I like the story because there's also the interactions between the rage-infected Robert Carlyle and his children.
That was becoming a little too. I was getting a little bit rolls eyes at like the sort of incidental places that he managed to pop up, just staring at them.
Yeah, they did make that a bit convenient. But like these moments where I think you're supposed to be thinking in the film, he's going to see his children and he's going to almost like snap out of it because there's this expectation of these are your children, but no. Nah, he's not for snapping out of it. And then I didn't hate the ending. I think we talked about the ending of the previous film, giving you a little bit, but maybe you don't know for sure whether they're going to get rescued, get out, whatever. With this, almost sort of teasing a happy ending, and the boy has been attacked by his dad. And obviously this, you can contract it without showing the symptoms, suggesting it has come back to bite them all right in the final scene, which I quite liked.
Yeah, I like that as well. Kind of heartbreaking when he says to his sister, am I one of them?
Yeah.
And then we get this pretty cool looking closing shot of the virus has made its way to Paris, and you see a bunch of the rage infected closing in towards Eiffel Tower. I thought that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
That would set it up beautifully for a European-based sequel. Maybe that's where they'll go with 28 years. Who knows?
Yeah. Do you know, is Danny Boyle involved in 28 years?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Original writer, Danny Boyle, Kelly Murphy, apparently. So
Interesting. Okay.
interested to see where it goes. Yeah. Cool. Next time, 2007, we'll be back for our Bound for Glory series. We'll be talking 30 Days a Night.
Nice.
Vampires, Josh Hartnett, Danny, what's his name? Houston. Danny Houston. What exactly? Exactly. Ben Foster. Let's do this.
Oh, Ben Foster.
Right. Shall we jump into the Impact Zone?
Okay.
Let's. Yep. Let's just do it. Okay. So it's in December. We're getting a Christmas themed opening video package. It's very dramatic, I thought.
Yeah.
Pyro City with as we come on, and then we're immediately hit with the fake Kashmir music, and it's Big Kev coming down to join Don West and Mike TNA on commentary. So shenanigans begin almost immediately. This pay-per-view felt like it's really interesting because we were going year for year, and then we've decided to go like, let's follow the Angle Joe thing.
Yep.
And this pay-per-view feels like it's just following the template of successful pay-per-views almost to the T. So now here we go again with some sort of X Division nonsensical match. So it's a Paparazzi Championship Series 5-man elimination match. We've seen matches with Alex Shelley and Austin Starr as a tag team, the Paparazzi, and Jay Lethal and Sonjay Dutt. 4 of them are involved, and Senji's involved, sort of thrown in there. It doesn't seem connected to the storyline that's been going on.
Yeah.
Big Kev's obviously involved with the Paparazzi faction. There's points scoring available here. Don't ask me to explain them because I lost track and also lost interest.
Like, this is not as a match, but I find it quite interesting. Like you say, we were going year by year, and then we followed the story, which we had no choice. Angle and Joe made us do that.
Oh, absolutely.
And we've had a great, byproduct of that being LAX and some of the stuff we've seen with them. But like, I'm done with the joke now with the Kevin Nash and all the X Division guys. I'm done with it. Now, maybe if we'd kept going year on year, I wouldn't be quite as just like, you can only hear the same joke many times.
Yeah, it's not funny. And I feel like the only person Nash is entertaining is himself.
Yeah. And I tried to pay attention to this, but there was a point quite early on where I lost interest. And it was when Nash was obviously doing a bit where it was all about implying that Sonjay Dutt, who is not a big guy, is on steroids.
Yeah. At one point he says, look at him, he's on the gas.
Yeah.
Just, I didn't understand. I didn't, like, the joke is that Nash is an X Division veteran and he's a massive guy. The joke is that Sonjay Dutt is on steroids and he's a tiny guy. We're going for low-hanging onions here.
Yeah.
I am not going to talk through this match because I, like you, lost interest, but we could pick out... we both liked Senshi, low-key.
Yeah.
And I liked him in this match as well. It was like there was 4 guys sort of dicking about, and then he came in and just went full on, just like crazy and battered people. He's like, I'm not interested in this sort of comic nonsense.
Like they're obviously they're doing a little bit of a story here as well about the sort of fraction between Shelley and Starr, who both seem to still be competing for Nash's attention. I think what happened here was it was a point system based on whoever was there at the end and the order in which you got eliminated was your points. So I think that's how it was working. And I assume there are going to be more tournament type things because they were suggesting it was then going to work as a running tally. But yeah, and you're always going to get a few decent moves in here, but even like the way they're presenting it takes away from what you're seeing. It's kind of telling you this isn't important. So
it's like a metaphor for Austin Starr's character, because he's a brilliant wrestler, and I feel like he's over the top grandmaster sexy character, completely, like you say, it says it said to me, like, that he's not going to go anywhere, really. Yeah. Like, I can understand how, I think if he didn't have this silly character, he would be in a Chris Sabin position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because he can wrestle similar and do all the same stuff. It's weird. He does a 450 splash to eliminate Sonjay Dutt. It's cool. Yeah. Really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, we go back to, let's just copy and paste the last finish that I think we saw, which is Starr on the top rope and Shelley, like, doesn't hit, not inadvertently hits him with the camera, and saying she gets the roll up to win.
Yeah, they both play a part in the other getting eliminated. Basically, I think maybe Starr initially by not doing anything to help Shelley, and then Shelley by straight up costing Starr, I think. But yeah, it's a shame because there is talent in the ring, but I just didn't care.
Yeah. You're maybe getting on your Impact shows, you're maybe getting them as a tag team dominating and smashing up people.
Yeah.
But all we're seeing, and this is probably our own fault, but all we're seeing is the really obvious finish where one bangs into each other with a camera and all that sort of nonsense.
Yeah.
Okay, right. I'm going to be honest, Adam. I fast-forwarded quite a lot after this, but we've got Jeremy Borash backstage with Eric Young. He's in a pink bathrobe, and he appears to be competing in a bikini contest with Bobby Roode's valet. Am I right?
Yes. So I've only really put a note saying, I swear if this tech takes even 10 seconds off the main event, I'll be furious. It's a bikini contest. Eric Young, Bobby Roode's valet, Mrs. Brooks, is that her name? But it's like I assume, I was kind of not listening, but I think it is a crowd decide who wins the contest. So yeah, Eric Young's going to win. Bobby Roode's furious. Yeah.
Is that it? Is that the what came out of it? Aye?
Yeah, he then tells her at the end that for her to get back in his good books, she has to sign Eric Young to Bobby Roode Incorporated or whatever his company, his stable are.
Oh, so they're not Team Canada. They're obviously not Team Canada anymore.
That's all separated. So,
I see.
Yeah,
but they were affiliated. That doesn't make sense. Just speak to him, mate. He was your pal.
Ask him if he wants to join up.
Aye. Okay, so after that, we get extra cringe on top of it. Cringe, we are backstage with a female backstage reporter. Is she called Letitia? Maybe?
Yeah, that could be right. Yeah.
She's standing outside the locker room of Paul Levesque and Michael Hickenbottom. Some fat guy comes along and pins her against the door. That's what my notes say.
Yeah, they now WWE for a while had a gimmick of a guy being all oiled up and just dancing in the back and stuff like that.
Did they?
But, yeah.
So is that what this is in response?
I think so, but I've got in my notes that from the bikini contest to the end of this must be one of the worst ever periods of time on a show.
I can't believe Cornette worked for this company. He's probably given himself an aneurysm.
It's so bad.
And we get more of it later. So we get a video package for Chris Sabin and Christopher Daniels and what's went on since the last time we saw them on pay-per-view with Jerry Lynn. They describe Sabin as Jerry Lynn's most gifted pupil. And I wasn't sure if... Was Jerry Lynn affiliated with Sabin?
Yeah, I don't know if they were just trying to force that. Did I look up who trained Chris Sabin? Because I was trying to find out if this was a thing. And I don't think it listed Jerry Lynn. So I think they were just trying to force it.
Are you looking at?
I'm just checking again because I was sure I checked at the time. So it's quite often got for wrestlers who they were trained by.
Yeah.
No. Scott D'Amore.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Poor Scott. Another controversial story. Okay, so we've got this. So the next match is Daniels versus Sabin. Daniels is the reigning X Division title holder. We've got guest referee Jerry Lynn. On paper, this sounds great, and I really wanted to get into this match, but I found myself struggling to get into it. One, because I felt like it was a repeat of other things that we'd already saw.
Yeah.
Two, it was a little bit of spot. And three, because of the greasy guy and the bikini contest. Just like, I can't be arsed with this. That's terrible. That's terrible. But
this, I did think as soon as this came on, I don't know. Again, we don't watch the programs in between, but have they done enough to justify doing this again? Is there enough of a reason for these two to be having another match? Because Daniels had dominated so much of the previous match, Andy got the win, and the whole thing was about the lack of respect at the end. Does that get you another match? Is that enough? And so that was kind of how I went into it, feeling some of the moves they do, like a little bit becoming a bit of a spot fest. I do feel like they're trying to tell us a story with Sabin where he does look like he's got every move, and then he gets incredibly easily frustrated when things stop going his way. Which, that's fine. You can have that as your character wrinkle. He's not quite going full Christian from the thumping the mat and having a tantrum, but he's getting quite annoyed. But this whole thing felt to me like they're not doing this for Sabin anymore. They're now going to work a different story, and it's just a way of getting there. Which that's where we get to. Where so Daniels retains. I'm always impressed by his moonsault. Fine looking move.
Best.
And we get Lynn telling Sabin again to shake Daniels' hand, but Daniels is getting a bit frustrated with Jerry Lynn poking his nose everywhere. Doesn't need the respect. He won. He's the champion. Doesn't matter to him whether he's got Sabin's respect or not. And then Lynn and Daniels get into it, and Jerry Lynn slaps him in the face.
Yeah, bit much.
Yeah. They get separated by the referees, and we're obviously going to move in that direction now by the looks of it.
Do you think they're working to Daniels versus Lynn?
It felt like it.
Aye. You just wonder why Lynn's not wrestling.
Yeah.
And if he's not able to wrestle, then why are they doing this? But hey ho, we won't follow it because we're going to Bound for Glory 2007 next anyway. Okay, the next thing is fast forward fodder as well. We get Cornette coming out. He brings some Chicago White Sox baseball players into the crowd, into the ring. He also brings in someone called David Eckstein, who appears to play for a rival MLB team. Yeah?
Yeah. Do you know, when he first said his name, I thought he said David Epstein. And I was like, oh, where are we going here?
They appear to be running an angle where baseball players are fighting with each other. Lance Hoyt comes out to help. What the fuck?
What? Why was any of this happening? I was amazed at, like you referenced earlier, I've got a bit of, oh God, it's Cornette. Let's see if he's enjoying this show so far. But I didn't know who. There'll be some people who knew who these people were, no doubt. Some people watching. But was there any in there for anyone to really care about?
No, it's really weird. Nobody wants to see. Well, speaking for myself, but nobody wants to see baseball players pretending to be wrestlers. They kind of.
I always think with this kind of thing, I get done in the right moment, it works.
Pete Rose is like a perfect example of it done well.
Yeah, he's just there to get choke slammed. And he takes the move, and that's it. But this is it's almost like they're saying, do you know anyone can come and do this?
Nice. That's a really good point. It is, yeah. Nonsense. Okay. A lot of the storylines going on here feel pretty weak, don't they?
Yeah.
And the next one, I feel, is the same. So we've got Rhino backstage. He's very passionate. He's going to beat some sense into AJ Styles. Remind me again what the issue was here. Rhino didn't want...
really shoehorned this in the last one, where Daniels had cost Styles in his match, or was seen to have cost him in his match.
Right.
And Rhino's done the running and been like, "You're friends. Don't do this. Don't fall out with your friends like I did with Christian. Don't do it. Just shake hands, make up." And that's where AJ Styles called him Dr. Phil. And,
that's right. Amazing.
So it must have all come from that. But it felt really forced.
That doesn't explain why Rhino's so passionately angry.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not be like, look, I've tried and you didn't listen to me, so, like, I don't want to have to do this, but we're going to have to do this. Anyway, AJ Styles is... I'll be honest, I am enjoying the AJ Styles sort of veering towards the heel with his behaviour, and he interrupts his interview and just starts attacking him, which I liked. I liked how you heard the ring bell going whilst they were still backstage.
Yeah.
So that starts the match. They continue. They're brawling through the backstage area. I think TNA's calling for cameras, and we get the whole sort of camera backstage chasing about, trying to find them. I did think, though, here's another example of a Rhino match with somebody that's class in ring, and here they go fighting backstage and all that.
Yeah. I think we talked about it with Christian, didn't we?
Yeah.
In that there's I think a way to do this match in the ring and have Rhino with his ridiculous power and aggression and all that, and the guy trying to out wrestle him and out quick him and outthink him and all that. So have they just decided Rhino needs to be in nothing but street fight style matches?
Kind of feels like it, doesn't it?
Yeah.
He's an extreme guy.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be. The big sort of part of this match is that AJ is run towards Rhino. Once they eventually brawl through and get into the ring, Rhino dumps AJ up over his shoulder, way high, way up in the air, over the ropes, and AJ appears to land awkwardly. He looks hurt. The referee's thrown up the X.
I tell you, he got me.
Did you get worked?
Yeah.
Me too. They had all the trainers looking at it. It was at that point that I thought, this isn't the right, because people, just random guys were pushing his knee with their thumbs.
The thing I didn't get was there's loads of refs went down. And it wasn't like an outside of the ring brawl. It was, there's medical personnel there in theory. But when the loads of refs came down, I thought, well, why would that happen?
And I thought when all the refs came down, Rhino's going to get out the ring and start throwing the refs out the way. Yeah. I thought that's what they were there for fodder. We're maybe going to get a double turn or something like that. Anyway, AJ tries to stand up, but his knee buckles. So Rhino turns his back to look out to the crowd, and quick as a cat, AJ's back in the ring, rolls him up and gets the win. He starts
missed,
dancing,
didn't they? The camera kind of missed it.
Yeah,
I think it was still on the announcers at Dave Pinzer, and then you kind of hear the count and the pinfall going on, and then it flashes back. He's very pleased with himself, is AJ.
Doing a lot of pointing at his brain and saying, "Got you." I liked his dancing on the ramp.
Yeah. I didn't hate the finish. I didn't think it needed to be the kind of match it was.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay. We're backstage with Letitia. She's chasing, clearly, Road Dogg, dressed as Vince, with his back to the camera. He's got a daft wig on. He's talking like Vince and all this sort of stuff. Is that Letitia playing it off like it's Vince?
I think so. Yeah, I feel really bad for this woman. This is a horrible spot for anyone to be in.
We've covered this already. This whole thing of talking to the competition or the higher up, the bigger company. We've covered all this. We didn't need to again. It's fucking awful.
Yep. I've just got to stop this now. Just please.
Yeah, it gets worse. I did like that Rhino and AJ were still brawling and they end up brawling out towards the ring area. This reminded me of, do you remember when Triple H and Mankind did this?
Oh, yeah.
They sort of just brawled all over the arena, the whole pay-per-view almost.
Yeah.
Was that Canadian Stampede?
Oh, it could have been, yeah. Yeah, they definitely faced each other then, so it could have been.
That was good. Yes. Arriba La Raza, here we go. We're backstage with Jeremy Borash and LAX. My favourite part of any TNA pay-per-view is it's the Conan aggressive political promo. Amazing.
He's so angry. Like, and it seems real.
Yep.
Like, we talked about before how perfect he is for this role. But, I mean, there's not many... You don't get many promos that come across as intense and feeling real as Conan's been delivering through this. It's really good.
Can you think of some promos that feel as real as this? I'm sure there are.
Yeah, but
I mean, some of CM Punk stuff in 2011 probably felt a bit like that.
Yeah, I loved some of the Brett turning on America thing.
Yes, that's what this feels like.
Yeah,
that's a good way. Yeah, the whole stuff about like you basically calling them slobs and all that sort of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's a good comparison. Nice. It's amazing, and like LAX, this presentation's perfect. We spoke about before. You get Conan going on the offensive, then you get Homicide giving you off something. It's just cool. And Big Hernandez standing there like, do not mess.
Yeah. I was a little bit like, I don't think I've ever in my life wanted to watch a flag match. Like, I don't think I've ever thought, oh yeah, good idea, you're going to have a flag match. But with everything that's gone on, it makes sense.
It does, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it feels a bit it feels a bit like 1996 WCW. Mm-hmm. Let's just have Bossman, remember we got a daft match with Bossman in Earthquake.
Yes. Yeah. Something on a pole.
It was like a bag of quarters on a pole or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas this has got grounding and everything.
It's not just a prop. Based on the story, a flag here is significant. It matters, which is great.
So the flag match rules, the flag matches are on the flags, American and Mexican flags, are on poles on opposing sides of the ring. You have to get your flag down and then hang your flag up using a ladder in the centre above the ring to win. Never heard of a flag match before, I don't think. Have you?
Yeah, they had... did they have one at Canadian Stampede?
Did the Patriot and someone have one, aye?
Yes. And I've also seen... Have I seen Hacksaw Jim Duggan in one?
Dear.
It was great.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think aye. Anyway, aye. This was good and chaotic and mental and everything we've sort of come to expect from LAX and America's Most Wanted, both who we've become really big fans of. Yeah.
There's quite a lot of physicality from Gail Kim in this one.
She's straight into it.
They've told us in the build-up, we've seen the clips enough times of her being just thrown.
Say it right.
What was it? Border toss.
Border tossed, yep.
And you obviously know, based on everything that's happened before, that Conan is going to get himself involved in the match. So I didn't hate the fact she was getting involved, because it also wasn't, she's not in there overpowering and doing all these ridiculous, unbelievable moves. She is jumping off stuff and trying to land on them. That is basically what she's doing, just to try and give her team a moment, a little advantage.
Felt quite Lita with the Hardy Boys sort of role, didn't it?
Yeah. I enjoyed this. It probably wasn't my favourite match between them, but I did enjoy it. there was, I wondered right at the start. I suppose there's two ways you could have gone with this in terms of outcome, because LAX have been dominant. They have been winning. They've been on the streak. They must have got stripped of the titles. Is that right? That's what Cornette said was going to happen.
Aye.
Yeah.
Forgot about that.
So, like, nobody's been able to beat them to take the titles off them, and they've been dominating what are considered to be top teams. So I did wonder, are they going to give America's Most Wanted a win just to, keep things going?
Mm-hmm.
But the other side of it, to just almost put a stamp on everything that's been and done with their dominance, is just have LAX go over again.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't thinking, oh God, I hope this team or that team win this. I got quite into it. I've become a huge fan of Hernandez.
Amazing.
He's just an absolute beast.
I think was it him that I compared to Brock Lesnar the last time? And I still get that, but more mobile, believe it or not.
There's a suicide dive at a point, over the top. This guy.
I just love them as a tag team. I just think everything that they do together just complements each other, and then the Conan. But I feel the same about America's Most Wanted. I become a huge fan of Chris Harris. Yeah,
you've got Hernandez, I've just got a point in my notes. LAX are just fucking class.
Yes.
Because the teams are matching up really, really well, I think, early on. And then Hernandez just starts throwing people about. And he throws Harris into a ladder at one point. And then I think it's really quickly followed by Three Amigos suplexes by Homicide.
Amazing.
And it's, I don't know, they just work so well. Love this.
So, much like we've seen before, Petey Williams got involved the last time. When LAX were going to burn the American flag, Canadian man Petey Williams stood up and said, "This isn't happening on my watch." Here he is again. He tries to stop one of the guys getting the flag up. I think it's Hernandez, is it?
Yeah.
Who stops him? Does somebody nail him?
He gives Petey Williams down gives a Canadian destroyer to Conan.
Oh dear! Did he?
Yeah.
I'm sure I read that Conan was like, in the last pay-per-view, he was getting pissed off about anyone being physical with him because he had injuries. It was Jeff Jarrett's podcast when he said it on it, actually. He threatened to walk out.
And then Hernandez basically knocks his head off with a clothesline.
Yes.
Oofed.
And the finish here, it's really difficult to describe this match because it's just mental.
Mm.
A lot of mayhem. But the finish, Harris is climbing. Harris and Homicide, I think, are climbing the ladder, both to get their flags up. Mm. Storm tries to nail Homicide with one of his beer bottles.
Yep.
And ends up hitting Harris by mistake.
I think it's played that he connects with Homicide and a shard of glass.
Oh, gets in Harris
goes into the eye of
Nice. Yep. And that leaves the way for Hernandez to stroll up and hang the Mexican flag.
Yep. And then there's I thought quite well done bit between Gail Kim, Storm Harris and Petey Williams, where Storm is really got it in his mind that this is Harris's fault and that there's nothing wrong with him. He's just, it's another excuse type thing. While he's laying there on the ground clutching his eye, Gail Kim is shrieking at him, at Storm for what he's done. Mm-hmm. Petey Williams is stepping in like he's got glass in his eye, and Storm just isn't. He's not having it. He's just basically like, I've had enough of this guy, and storming off. No pun intended. And he's. We're obviously, I think, it at that moment made more sense to me that they put over LAX because we're kind of done with AMW now because they're clearly going to be on opposite sides by the looks of it.
It's a shame, isn't it?
I think it is, but I don't mind the way it came about, which is almost like Is it pure frustration that there's this other team they cannot beat? Are they now blaming each other for the fact they just cannot beat this other team? Obviously felt like they had to try and go to extreme measures to do it. Poor Homicide's got a blood towel over his head when they're doing the Mexican anthem. I feel like maybe if there is this dominant team that they can't beat, then where do you go with them as a team? I think there's going to be another, I don't know how quickly it happens, but I'm pretty sure Beer Money team won't be that far away, which will be Bobby Roode with Storm, I think.
Oh, really? I wonder where Harris goes.
Yeah,
surely straight to the top. Harris v Angle.
Well, that's maybe next, but we're going to jump ahead.
Okay. Oh. What I like about what happens after it is Conan grabs a mic and he says, America's Most Wanted are sort of retreating out of the arena because of what's happened. And Conan grabs a mic and he says, you're the first American team ever lose a flag match. You better stand there and respect the Mexican national anthem. And it'd be so easy to make Conan's character just seem like a kind of ignorant gangbanger type character, but he comes across as really intelligent.
Yeah.
Which I love as well.
Yeah. Like they also do so he's telling everyone to stand for the anthem. He's telling the announcers to stand for the anthem. And they say, I think it's TNA says that he respects Mexico and he respects the people, but he does not respect Conan and LAX. I thought it was well done.
And Conan looks absolutely delighted when they're playing the national anthem.
Yeah. He keeps like having a Homicide to stand properly while he's like holding the towel.
Amazing. Okay, from the Sublime to the... Oh no, I thought we were going to the Billy Gunn and Road Dogg thing. But no, we jump from gold to gold. It's Jeremy Borash backstage. He's with Christian and Tomko. Welcome, Tomko, to the journey. I love Tomko. I love how loyal he seems to be to Christian. There's never that worry that he's going to pull a Nash and usurp the guy that he's sort of helping. He just seems like he's 100% loyal to Christian. Yeah. They're such a good package. Mm-hmm. Tomko knows a dirty little secret about Abyss.
Yeah.
I'd love for you to speculate what that could be now.
Did they not describe it as something horrific and embarrassing for him and the company? And I'm like...
The guy's a murderous maniac or something. Like, what could it possibly be that he does ballet?
You missed a little bit before that. They go to Jeremy Borash trying to get a chat with James Storm.
Oh, sorry.
Who tears into Harris for quitting and letting him and all Americans down.
Oh, wow.
And he gives him until Thursday to come out on TV and apologise to everyone.
Ooh. Oh, man, I think I missed that. I like that. Then that's when we go to this fucking absolute dog shit with Billy Gunn and Road Dogg, isn't it?
Yeah.
They come out, they're supposed to be dressed as DX. They've got like face masks on to make them look really old.
Yeah. Because
Shawn Michaels and Triple H are really old at this point, apparently. It's awful no matter how you look at it. But the fact that they do like a piss-takey, jokey segment mixed in with a we'll fight you in a real fight, by the way. So it's just baffling.
I remember hearing like Road Dogg speaking about all this, and he's not doing great at the time this is happening. He's incredibly bitter. He believed that them firing him for his drug addictions was wrong. I think they'd offered him rehab and all that, but he was adamant he didn't have a problem, and then so he was let go. And he's like talked about like looking back, and he's like, these people, this company, regardless of what anyone thinks of them at this moment in time, were very good to Road Dogg. They gave him a chance. They gave him a job. They gave him, a pay. They gave him a platform and all that. But at the moment in time, he's just so bitter. And he said that for whatever reason, them doing a DX reunion, which I think they'd done with Michaels and Triple H, just drove him nuts. And he's saying that this is all an unhinged version of himself, really saying what he thought in the moment, which I believe he looks back on with a lot of regret. And I think Billy Gunn was just going basically along for the ride.
Yeah, I was going to say, what's Monty Sop's excuse?
Yeah. It's so bad the way it, like you say, doing this sort of part comedy and then, but I am serious speaking to the camera right now. This is serious, this bit, so listen.
And this is fake, by the way, but we will fight you in a real fight.
Yeah.
Shut up. Absolute idiot. Yeah. That's when we're backstage with Borash and Christian and Tom Coso.
Yeah.
Then we go into our NWA Heavyweight title match. Again, we've got the title second last on. Mm-hmm. Again, probably the right decision, to be fair.
Yeah.
It's a triple threat match. It's Sting, the Monster Abyss, the champion, and Christian.
Yep.
Still loving Sting. Still loving the look with the red, dash of red in the face paint.
Yeah.
Loving Tom Cole and his involvement in this match.
I like that even though they've got, the talent that they've got and he's not champion, they never in any way belittle Christian's claim or credentials. They point out quite well, he's never been beat. Mm-hmm. He became champion. He didn't lose it. He has a legitimate claim to, being champion. So much as he's, a heel and he's got his heavy with him, they're never playing down why he's in the match or his claim to be champion. Yeah,
it's that thing that we talk about, like a good heel believes he's right.
Yeah.
We're getting a little bit blueprinty with Abyss matches again at this point. But what did you think of this match overall?
I mean, I didn't think it was I thought it was okay. I thought it was entertaining enough.
I feel like there must be something better to do with Sting a little bit.
Yeah, you would have thought he would have been, I don't know, special attraction type guy by this stage rather than being in a triple threat for the title. Maybe it's because he's just lost it. And maybe, we talked before when he took it from Jarrett about that maybe being we have to get the belt off Jarrett just now because he needs to go away. And maybe they just felt like that was the time. So maybe it was always the plan, short reign, he gets involved in a return match of sorts to get an opportunity. But yeah, it's not like it's not like the way he maybe could have given someone else the rub in a one-on-one program, which might have been a better use of him. I do like there's quite a bit of James Mitchell on the go again here. I love that guy.
Do you ever think James Mitchell looks like a mini Drew McIntyre?
Yeah, I can see that. I hadn't spotted it before, but I can see that.
I've got my notes. I wonder if James Mitchell's ever been to air.
Well, yeah, it seems likely.
Yeah.
I could. Are they doing the thumbtacks thing as a joke now?
I don't know. Surely.
It never goes well for him. He always. It seemed this time like it was James Mitchell trying to force the thumbtacks on a bit.
Yes, he's got Sting where he wants him. And James Mitchell's like, no, remember, we need to do the tacks. That's just bad managerial skills from James Mitchell.
It was, yeah. Our boy Christian takes quite a lot of bumps in this match.
He does.
Yeah.
Tom Cole is involved quite a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny when Abyss gets in the ring, Tomko's aggressively in his face.
Uh-huh.
maybe the secret has something to do with Tomko and his past, because he seems pretty angry.
He's got something to avenge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got, I think, 4 instances of Tomko getting himself involved in the match while Christian's laid out or getting his ass kicked.
Aye, Christian's not really, doesn't get a whole lot of offense on, does he?
Nah.
Shall we go towards the end here? We've got, like we said, we've got Abyss. He's got Sting where he wants him. He's going to choke slam him. James Mitchell stops him, brings in the tax. In a horrible turn of events, Abyss ends up getting curb stomped onto them by Tomko.
Yep.
It couldn't have possibly went worse for him. I thought the ending was poorly done. We've got Sting coming off the ropes towards Abyss. Christian sort of loitering behind them, and Abyss hits the black hole slam, basically the boss man slam, on Sting, and Christian kind of gets knocked out of the ring inadvertently by this, and Abyss gets the win.
I was absolutely astonished Abyss got the win and was still champion.
Same.
I thought they might have been putting it back on Christian here, but the way the match went, it never looked all that likely. But yeah, pure Abyss. I did think, if you're, because there was a sort of segment of Sting talking about how Abyss was a human and he needed to stop just being a monster for James Mitchell. And I thought, well, at least they've done the thing with the tax where it looks like, Mitchell's perverse ideas about, what should be done here rather than just winning the match was costing Abyss. So if they were going to make a thing out of that, at least there was a little element of that in there. But he still won. He still retained. So much as he got a face full of attacks, Mitchell didn't really cost him in the end.
So, in January, at Final Resolution 2007, the main event is Christian versus Abyss versus Sting again. And this time Christian wins the title.
Yes.
Interesting, they went to a rematch.
Yeah. You don't often get that, do you, from a triple threat, a rematch of that same triple threat?
I've got terrible news for you. Also on Final Resolution 2007 is a 30-minute Ironman match to determine the number one contender to the NWA World Heavyweight Championship, Kurt Angle against Samoa Joe.
What?
Did you know that, no?
But they've been telling me all along. Well, Kurt has, and he's just about to again that this is the last match the two will ever have.
God damn it.
I thought he had integrity. I was...
So there we go. Do you want me to tell you who won?
Yeah.
Kurt won 3-2.
Okay.
There we go.
Let me watch that at some point.
LAX defeated Team 3D.
Ah, good.
James Storm defeated Petey Williams.
Okay.
Chris Sabin defeated Christopher Daniels and Jerry Lynn. Oh wow,
Okay.
They went Rhino against AJ Styles again in a last man stand. See, I'm glad we didn't. Yeah, we shouldn't be following this.
Yeah, I might still just seek out that one match, the Angle Joe, and give that a watch.
Yeah, 30-man Ironman match sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, back to our thing here. So yeah, that's interesting that they put the belt on Christian after this. Strange why they wouldn't have just done it here, but hey, they have a plan, I'm sure, or a Russo. Backstage with our boy Borash again. He is sitting down with Angle in the locker room, and certainly one of the three eyes is on display here. He's fully intense.
Yeah.
And do you think he's not allowed to say it's true? It's true.
Maybe.
Because it's
maybe
real.
It's
damn real.
Because I've liked pretty much everything they've done in the story with these two. Again, it never came across as anything more than just this desperate desire to be the best and prove that you're the best by beating the best. I liked he in ways he's a good talker. In ways he doesn't always come across as the most natural talker. But he's talking about the fact that he'd previously said no to the second match. He refused to shake the hand at the end of the last event and said that he was done. He'd won. So what more do they need to do? He's talking about his experience in the Olympics and losing a match to somebody that he then got a second opportunity against and beat on his way to winning the gold.
Yeah, that's a true story. I love the way they've wove that in there. Really good.
Yeah. And they sort of then start like cutting between Joe speaking and Angle speaking, which I liked. And Joe's talking about being unstoppable for 18 months and the fact that he lost the match kind of almost freed him. He's not worrying anymore about an undefeated run. He just now needs to go in and win. I like the whole. We talked about it the last time. When you big up your opponent, it is something when you beat them. When you belittle them, it's like, well, who did you beat?
Yep.
And so, I like this.
Yeah. It almost makes me a little bit angry that Samoa Joe's not like the greatest thing to ever happen to professional wrestling. He's just...
he is a bit. He's like underrated, isn't he? Like
I would say so.
He's having his sort of second big run, I think, just now in AEW with the title, but it feels like they were wasted years, maybe, like because he was at WWE and they had him in some decent level programs, but he was never the guy, and he was never going to be the guy.
I think when he was in NXT, we've watched an NXT pay-per-view. He was on. Remember him and Finn Balor had a great match.
Yeah.
I felt like Triple H knew what he was, and as is the story with so many, that round about that time he went up and just sort of dwindled. In and about the sort of US title and that sort of picture. It's a shame.
They end up making him like a commentator for a while.
They did, yeah.
Yeah. He is a good talker. Like it's not against that, but you watch his work in the ring, and if he can be in the ring, he should be.
100%. So physical. Right, let's talk this match. What do you think it compared to the last one?
I think I preferred the last one, but it's actually really different, which I was happy with. There's a lot in here that they didn't show and didn't do in match one. I've moaned before about them referencing WWE as a company, but they do it here in a way that makes sense. They're talking about Kurt Angle, 6-time world champion in another promotion. I've no issue with that. That's absolutely fine. Everyone that's watching knows that. It's it's not taken away from it.
Yeah, it makes it feel a bit like it's relatable and real and
yeah. When we talked before about the fact that it felt like the TNA guy against the WWE guy, saying that just adds to that. They're talking about a lot, and it's something he is doing that felt a little bit different, but the way that Angle seemed to want to control the match on the mat, which added something different. It never felt like it was to the same extent in match one. There's moves, right? This, I think, is an example of how wrestling can be done, because there are moves like clotheslines, there are moves, fairly basic moves, but everything that's done felt important. It didn't really matter whether it was a high impact move. It felt like it had a purpose, and it wasn't just doing a whole bunch of moves for the sake of it.
Nice. Well put. I liked it. Felt like everything. I don't know if this is the same thing as what you're saying. It felt like everything was really impactful. There was times where they collided and it felt real. Like it felt like Angle was legitimately putting everything into knocking him down. Joe is it Joe that takes Angle around the ring and just slams his head off the stairs, or is it the other way about?
I think so. There's twice that they go out quite early on. The first one, Angle gets control. I think it's the second time that Joe basically turns the tables, and he just starts throwing Angle, and the one over the steps looked quite nasty actually.
I don't know. I would love to be a fly on the wall, but between the conversations between them, maybe before and after, you wonder how much liberty they're taking with each other, or if it's just a case of like let's just sort of go for it.
Yeah.
I loved some of Angle's amateur wrestling stuff, single leg takedowns, and like you said, he's just sort of controlling Joe. It felt like Joe could do nothing about it.
Yeah.
Which was great. This felt really physical. I can't remember if we said that last time.
Yeah, I think they were just really different. Was it you that said in the last match that Angle actually asked for less time because he didn't want them to get everything in match one, which I think is a great move, because much as maybe part of the reason I prefer match one is because it's match one, but this felt like it was telling a little bit of a different story, almost like they've had the first match, they've gone away and strategized about how they think they can best beat the other, and then they've come back and slightly different tactic and plan and all that, which again, that all feeds into my enjoyment of it, because it seems logical that that's what you would do. I love some of there's moments where it just turns to almost like pure aggression, and they both do it at times, but they both do it so convincingly.
There's a point where he's not even Angle's just sort of sitting against the ropes, and Joe is tearing towards him, and Angle moves, and Joe takes the full impact to the top rope, almost on his neck, and whips back. And like, that's just about as basic as it gets, and it looks like brutal.
Yeah.
And it looks real. It looks like he didn't know that he wasn't going to be there, and he goes whipping away backwards.
Yeah.
Angle hits the German. He manages to hit the trio of German suplexes this time.
Yeah.
Towards this point, we start going into what could potentially be a sort of obvious back and forth of ankle submissions, coquina clutch attempts, but it doesn't feel like it. It just feels like desperate attempts to try and best the other guy and try and beat him.
Yeah, and there's some really good. There's moments, and it all comes together near the end, but there's some really good moments where I think Joe is quite brilliantly selling his desperation, like he has to win in his eyes. Like there's no option but to win this match, because he's talked at the start about losing his streak and having to start again. And in his mind, you start at one and you have to win the first one. And obviously, all the story is there's only going to be two matches, so he can't lose. He can't lose 2-0. And they get there's a muscle buster attempt by Joe, which Angle counters into a roll up and then grabs for the ankle lock. And there's this look on Joe's face, which is, I don't know, it felt a little bit different from the first match. It felt like I can't let him get this on me. And that should be your reaction if you're in a match against Kurt Angle. You shouldn't just be like, yeah, okay, there you go, put it on.
It's at that point, I think, I've put in my notes how much the crowd are into it when Joe's trying to get to the ropes.
Yeah.
And he's in between sort of desperation of not to tap because he's in so much pain, and I must get to these ropes, and he's quite far away from them.
Yeah.
Like everybody you can see on their feet shouting. Yeah, it's brilliant.
I wasn't sure.
Excuse me.
See, in match one, did Joe ever actually get the coquina clutch on Angle?
He did. He got it on, and Angle put the ankle lock on whilst he was in it.
Yeah. Because there's obviously, you're talking about the sort of the back and forth with each of them a few times attempting their submission move. But I thought there were some quite like innovative ways used. Like I'm trying to remember exactly what happened. Angle, does he have the leg, but he's standing above Joe, and Joe basically knocks his feet away to have him fall down on top of him. That was brilliant. I loved that. Yeah,
and they're rolling about. Like I think Joe goes for a Kimura at one point, and it's all like sort of jiu-jitsu type moves that they're going back and forward with as well. There's the stuff like Angle completely scissoring the leg, and the commentators do a really good job of oh shit, that's it now.
That's it. Yeah.
And going back to what you were saying about them, like going back to drawing board and thinking about what they did right and what they did wrong, and Joe a couple of times properly rolls away for the ankle lock in a way where like I've scouted this and I can get away from it, which can put doubt in the mind of Angle as well.
Yeah.
We get the classic Joe on the top rope and Angle running up the ropes and suplexing him off the top.
Yeah.
Joe, we get a ref bump, and as Joe is bent over trying to help the ref up, Angle just walks up and just volleys him in the nuts.
It's almost like the commentators do quite well selling the shock. Like,
that is unbecoming of an Olympic champion.
Because he's there, but he's not a heel, Kurt Angle.
No.
And he's your wrestler. He's an Olympic gold winning wrestler. And today was like, I can't believe he did that. Like, he's a bit horrified by it.
Blatant the way he does it.
Yeah. Nice.
That's better than the classic sort of heel, the China-esque low blow where it's so
just sort of sneaking up from behind.
Aye, swing the arm in slow motion. That's brilliant.
They do.
Go on.
So while the ref's down, because I had a theory in my mind about how this match would end, but I wasn't 100% sure in terms of winner. But the ref is obviously selling the eye, and Joe gets the coquina clutch on Angle, and he's tapping, and the ref, is out of commission.
Yep.
And Joe releases it, I think, thinking he's won the match because he's seen Angle tap, and then he realizes the ref's down. So he's going to try to get him back up. This kind of thing at times feels like it's been done badly. I thought it was done quite well here, like just about everything in the match. But we got Angle then, I think, with the frustration, he's nearly beat. He's then done the low blow, or he knows he tapped out. And he goes to get a steel chair. And the announcers are selling that as the reason Kurt Angle is doing this is because he tapped out, and he knows he tapped out, and he's frustrated, and he just wants to, do whatever he needs to do now to win the match and kind of almost get his pride back because, Kurt Angle tapping out seems like a bigger deal than pretty much anyone else doing it. Although I did think, so he swings the chair, Joe moves, the chair bounces off the ropes, and it was almost like a Hogan doink.
It didn't quite work, did it?
Yeah. And I don't think he's a guy that deliberately goes soft on any move, even on himself. But he's obviously just misjudged how that would work.
So he hits himself, like you say, with a chair, and Joe is there behind him to pull him into the coquina clutch, and an Angle eventually taps. I thought they might do the thing where he goes out.
Yeah,
so he's not actually tapped, but there's the clean win each way.
Yeah, because he reaches for the boot as well to try and see if he can get the ankle lock to try and release it. But I think Joe straightens his leg, and hooks it around his other leg. Actually, that's what he does, so that Angle can't grab it.
Amazing.
Very good. He was, and he sold being massively pissed off and frustrated at the end, Angle, and you had Joe basically as he just wouldn't quit hero. He refused to lose, and just kept going. What did you prefer, this or match one?
I don't think I could pick.
Both very, very good.
I feel like both are like an example of just sort of like a perfect wrestling match.
My biggest worry was they would just do the same match again, which absolutely did not happen.
I loved how physical both matches were. This felt more physical. I felt like Angle was angrier. Joe was a bit more methodical this time, rather than he was powerful. The first match here, he was a bit more methodical.
Yeah. I've heard
great.
Angle speak really positively about Joe on his podcast, and he says, look, of all the opponents I ever had in my career, the only ones I ever felt could match my intensity were Benoit and Joe. And he said that, you know, you might get a cut or a scratch or whatever, but for Joe, for what he is, for the size of guy he is, and the impact and the intensity of the moves, says he's light as a feather. It doesn't hurt you.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
What a pro. Love it.
Yeah.
Do you prefer these matches over his Michaels match?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I remember Michaels match being very good. I remember, you know, one of the Benoit ones being excellent, but I think I'd maybe just edge these above.
Aye, me too. These like, you see Kurt Angle versus Samoa Joe on paper, you shouldn't be surprised, but they've surprised me just at how good they were and the way that they built the angle, and the intensity of the rivalry has just been absolutely brilliant.
Awesome. Yeah.
Great stuff. Oh well, I mean, a total mixed bag, but I think even if there'd been nothing else in the pay-per-view, I'd have been happy at the end.
Yeah. Like the nonsense feels like it's creeping up, but you can't help but switch off happy having seen these matches at the end of the shows.
Yeah. Definitely. I was just thinking, do you want me to sort of quickly run through what happens between now and the next Bound for Glory that we're going to go to next?
Yeah.
A very quick tour of Wikipedia. Like I said, we had Angle and Joe in January, and that was to determine the number one contender. You have Christian win the title. So I guess in February, against all odds, we're going Angle Christian. Christian Cage defeated Kurt Angle. So that's a slight shock. I wonder, I'm just looking to see if I can see where Samoa Joe is on the card. Don't see him. Oh dear, Sting versus Abyss in a prison yard match.
Oh dear.
James Storm and Jacqueline Moore defeated Petey Williams and Gail Kim.
Jesus.
They're still going AJ Styles Rhino in a Motor City chain match. This Christy Hem defeated Big Fat Oily Guy in a tuxedo match.
Oh, no.
Jesus Christ. Let's move along to March. Destination X pay-per-view. Christian Cage defeated Samoa Joe. Kurt Angle defeated Scott Steiner.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I mean, this is just... This thing defeated Abyss in a last rites match, whatever that may be. We've got a ghetto brawl between LAX and Team 3D. Senshi defeated Austin Starr, accompanied by Bob Backlund, in a cross-face chicken wing match.
Wow.
Holy mackerel. Where are we? April. We've got Scott Steiner on the poster, so you know it's going to be good. What we got here? Oh, we've got Team Angle versus Team Cage in the main event. Team Angle being Angle, Joe, Rhino, Sting, and Jeff Jarrett. And they defeated Christian, AJ Styles, Scott Steiner, Abyss, and Tomko.
Okay.
Harley Race as the gatekeeper in a lethal lockdown match. Hey, every match is a 6 sides of steel match. Is that why the pay-per-view's called Lockdown? Am I being an idiot?
I'm assuming it is, yeah. Okay.
James Storm defeated Chris Harris in a 6 sides of steel blindfold match. Fuck me. Team 3D defeated LAX in an electrified 6 sides of steel match. Let's move on to the summer. We're in June. We've got Kurt Angle defeating Sting and Christian for the title. Samoa Joe versus AJ Styles. Still got LAX in the title picture. We've got Scott Steiner and Tomko as a tag team now. Holy mackerel. Oh, a Texas death match between Chris Harris and James Storm. Let's move along. Slammiversary poster is amazing. It's like a gimmicked up version of the Walk the Line poster, but it's Jarrett with a guitar on his back.
Okay.
We've got a King of the Mountain match. We've still not seen one of those. Kurt Angle defeated Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, Christian Cage, and Chris Harris. So who's missing there? Sting, Abyss. Victory Road. When's that? July. There's no title match on this card. There is a tag team match for the... Oh, Adam, I can't work this out. A tag team match for the TNA World Heavyweight X Division and World Tag Team Championships.
Wait, what? Is there an X Division Tag Championship, or does it mean the X Division Singles Champion?
So Kurt Angle and Samoa Joe take on Team 3D for the tag team titles. Angle is World Champion. Samoa Joe is X Division Champion. So
if Team 3D win, do they win those titles? Is that how?
Maybe. Or if like Bubba pins Samoa Joe, he then becomes X Division or...
Okay. I don't think that's going to happen, but okay.
It's not good. See, this is where you realise that you're quite happy just going year to year, isn't it? What are we in now? Hard Justice in August, so we're getting close. Kurt Angle defeats Samoa Joe. The main event is a singles match for the TNA World Heavyweight, IWGP Heavyweight, TNA X Division, and TNA World Tag Team Championships.
Wow.
So Kurt Angle, the World TNA World and IWGP Heavyweight Champion, defeats Samoa Joe, the X Division and Tag Team Champion. Oh, Andrew Martin's on this pay-per-view. He's in a Doomsday Chamber of Blood match. Obviously.
Okay. Yeah.
Someone called Black Rain is here. Do you know who Black Rain is?
Black Rain is Goldust. He is, yeah, Dustin Rhodes.
Yeah. Oh, dear. Oh, that's okay. So we are now in September, a month before we'll pick this up. Pac-Man Adam Jones is on this.
Who's Pac-Man Adam Jones?
He played for the Cincinnati Bengals.
Ah, okay.
Kurt Angle defeated Abyss by submission for the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. Thank God we've got away from the multiple title matches. AJ Styles and Tomko defeated the Motor City Machine Guns to become number one contenders. What's that?
AJ and Tomko.
Christian Cage defeated Samoa Joe. Jay Lethal defeated Kurt Angle. What?
No. Oh, I have heard him speak about this. This was for the X Division title.
That's right.
And Angle went against TNA management.
What, he wanted to defend? Oh, really?
Yeah.
Is this when he was Black Machismo, or is that?
I don't know. All I know is that Angle loved him, and he didn't want to be carrying all these titles. He didn't want to be X Division champion and all that. But they wanted to keep all the belts on him for a bit longer. But he basically went into business for himself, or for Jay Lethal, whatever way you look at it, and told the ref that there was going to be a change to the finish.
Brilliant. We've got Robert Roode defeating Kaz.
Oh, Kaz.
So Frankie Kazarian has went from Frankie Kazarian to Kazarian just to Kaz.
Kaz.
So I'm looking for him in the next one just to be K.
Just K, yeah.
Shall we do you want to know the card for Bound for Glory?
Yeah,
Aye?
yeah.
Okay, here we go. Okay, yes. Oh, okay. TNA World Tag Team Title Number 1 Contendership Ultimate X match. LAX versus Triple X.
You're Triple X.
Triple X are Elix, Skipper and Senshi.
Okay.
So that sounds like it's got potential. A fight for the right tournament reverse battle royal.
What does that mean?
I'm sure I've heard Jarrett and Conrad talking about this before, and it's basically they all start outside the ring and they have to fight to get in the ring.
Okay.
I'm not going to tell you who's on it because there's too many people in it, but it looks an absolute mess. TNA World Tag Team Title match. Rashid Lucius Creed and Ron Killings versus AJ Styles and Tomko.
So we're still rolling with AJ and Tomko.
Oh,
I felt like AJ was climbing the card before, a win over Rhino, but maybe not.
Rashid Lucius Creed is Xavier Woods in WWE.
Okay.
X Division title match, Jay Lethal versus Christopher Daniels.
Okay.
A best 2 out of 3 tables tag team match. I feel like we're in WCW territory here. Team 3D versus the Steiner brothers.
Oh, no. Come on.
Sorry, my voice is... I feel like I'm getting more and more ill as the longer we go on here. It's nothing to do with this card. A TNA Women's Knockout Title Gauntlet match.
Okay.
Awesome Kong, Gail... There's loads of people in this. In that one. Samoa Joe versus Christian Cage with Special Enforcer Matt Morgan.
Matt Morgan.
Last time we saw him, he was like Maverick Matt or something like that, isn't it?
Is that the same guy?
I think so, unless I'm making it up.
I remember a Matt Morgan from WWE was massive.
Oh, really? Maybe it's a different guy then. A Monsters Ball match.
Oh, we're back. Okay.
Rhino versus Abyss versus Raven versus Black Rain.
Oh. Okay.
And a TNA World Heavyweight title match, Kurt Angle with Karen Angle versus Sting.
Okay.
So is this where Kurt brought her to work and Jeff realised he fancied a bit of that?
Maybe, yeah. Okay.
Well, that sounds decidedly mixed.
Yeah, there's something... I can get excited for a Samoa Joe and Christian in this match.
Yep.
I don't hate the idea of the sounds of this LAX in an Ultimate X match.
Just Hernandez being mental.
Yeah.
Swinging off things and that.
I'm up for that.
Amazing.
Quite keen to see how AJ and Tomko are as a team. Not happy with a 2 out of 3 falls tables match. That.
So Scott Steiner faced Triple H at Royal Rumble, what, 2003? Was it? No, it must have been 2005 because we watched that, didn't we?
Yeah.
He didn't look the most mobile then, so we're 2.5 years on. That'd be interesting.
It's probably not going to be great. I've heard Angle talking about working with Scott Steiner as well.
Positively.
He said his experience of him as a guy was positive. He didn't have a lot of the same issues that other people seem to have had with him, but he did say he wished he'd been able to wrestle the Scott Steiner from the late 80s.
Aye.
But that's not the same guy that was here then.
Oh dear. And Rick Steiner may also be in questionable shape.
Yeah.
I think he was towards the end of that WCW run we were watching, wasn't he?
Yeah, I'm not. Just no enthusiasm for that. But some of this card will be good, I'm sure.
So, have you ever seen the video of Dustin Rhodes? Oh, it's not Black Rain. I'm getting 2 characters mixed up. Do you remember he was made to be this all-white masked character?
Yes.
And he came out and he's like, this bullshit gimmick they've given me.
Yes.
That's 2 different gimmick characters, eh?
Yeah. But I do remember that one.
It's amazing. He's like talking about WCW management and all that.
Yeah.
Oh man, poor guy just gets given all these stupid, daft gimmicks.
He's had a lengthy career. He's
Still going.
yeah.
There is a dark tag team match, which is the Motor City Machine Guns versus Joey Matthews and Johnny Swinger.
No.
Surprisingly, that's not John Morrison, which is what
Johnny Swinger is. That's
Joey
quite the
Matthews.
name.
Joey Matthews is Joey Mercury. I thought it was that wee sort of gimpy commentator guy. He was called something else Matthews, wasn't he? Josh Matthews.
I've just looked up Johnny Swinger.
Does he look exactly like how you would assume he does?
But he's got quite the array of ring names as well. Swingman.
Oh, aye.
Johnny Hollywood Swinger. Johnny Paradise.
Nice.
Johnny Paris. Johnny Swinger. And then just the Swinger.
Oh, the Swinger. That's just nailing your colours to the mast there. Brilliant. Oh well, again, hopefully some surprising stuff. I'm really looking forward in a perverse way to watching the Reverse Battle Royal. I've only heard stuff about it. It sounds just ridiculous.
I think, how that starts is going to dictate how many notes that I take for that match.
That feels like Kevin Nash will be on commentary for it, doesn't it?
Oh God, probably.
I was the innovator of the Reverse Battle Royal. He needs a glass of red wine sitting there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, good things. At least we're watching 30 Days at Night.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I've not seen that for a long time.
Amazing. And if we could get Conan in every... Imagine a world where we could AI Conan making these passionate speeches about Mexican people in every film we watch.
Oh. It would work for a lot of the films.
I definitely would.
Yeah.
We need a 28 days film set on the Texas border or something like that. And he's got a megaphone shouting at the American people.
Perfect. It writes itself.
It does. Have you ever listened to Disco Inferno and Conan on, they've got is it Keeping It 100 or something like that?
I've not, no.
It'll shatter your dreams because he sounds so laid back that you would swear he's lying down recording for his bed.
I'll maybe avoid listening until I've finished this LAX journey, just so that I'm not ruining it.
I think he maybe still has something to do with AAA in Mexico.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think he's still considered quite a gateway for getting some of the Mexican wrestlers into some of the two big American companies, I think.
Right. I think I heard him recently sort of defending, I think Alberto El Patron or Del Rio or whatever.
Right.
I think he'd wrestled on a AAA card and he was getting shit for it, and he was just there was no sort of PC reply. He was just if people got a problem with them, fuck them sort of thing.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, that was good.
Yeah.
We'll take it on. We shall get back onto the road and get back onto the Bound for Glory road, as it were.
Nice.
And speaking,
I'm glad we took the little segue. That made a lot of sense. But yeah,
and it was worth
back
it.
on track. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Arriba La Raza. See you in 2 weeks.
Cheers.